Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into the March issue of ForceNet E Zine, that magazine for us military veterans who've uh, made the jump to the corporate world.
Yeah, it's funny how that first of the month just sneaks up on you. Bam, there's a new issue right on schedule.
Right. This one dropped on March 1st. And I got to say, the theme, my transition tales, well, that's pretty spot on for where I think a lot of our listeners are at.
Definitely. It's packed with these stories. And honestly, I think they're going to find them both really inspiring, but also, they'll see themselves in there.
Totally. So the editor's letter, that's where it all starts. And oh man, it really sets the mode.
Yeah.
It's talking about that feeling so many vets get it, leaving this structured life, the military career, and suddenly you're in the civilian world. It's like, whoa, this is different.
It's true. It's like going from, okay, here's the mission, here's how we do it, to a place where the rules are, well, not so clear. And the editor's really pushing for society, especially employers, to actually do something, not just talk.
Yeah, exactly. It's about understanding that, look, veterans have leadership experience. That's not theory. They've been there, done that, under pressure. So the editor's calling for, real opportunities that match that experience. Plus, strong mentorship and support networks. The whole package.
Couldn't agree more. It's not just about any job, it's got to be the right job. One where vets can keep growing, keep using those awesome skills they have.
So let's jump into these My Transition Tales. We've got 7 veterans here, all sharing their journeys, different branches, backgrounds, industries, you name it. First up, Lieutenant Colonel Ramesh Kumar. Joined the Army at 17, driven by service, family, a sense of legacy, the whole 9 yards. 29 years he served, but when it was time to transition, bam, the COVID-19 pandemic hits. Talk about bad timing.
Seriously. Tough break, right? But that's where his military training really shined. He had to adapt, overcome, like he'd done a million times before. And he did. Landed a senior leadership role in education, proving those leadership skills. They work anywhere.
Exactly. And his advice to other veterans, he's all about never stop learning. I know you're big on that too. He's also huge on networking. But not just showing up at events. It's about making those connections, the real kind that last. Ramesh really hammered home that leadership. It's universal.
Yeah.
Those principles work everywhere.
Totally. Is seeing that those qualities, those leadership things you learned in the military, those are gold. Doesn't matter what field you choose, they're valuable.
Okay, next, Lieutenant Colonel Prem Voss. Now, his story is all about planning that transition ahead of time, being proactive. You'll appreciate this one, knowing how much you plan ahead. Prem started getting ready in his mind way early, like actively working to kind of, detune himself from that military way of thinking.
Interesting approach, right? He knew that the military mindset, while awesome, could actually be like a problem in the corporate world. So he did his homework, studied up on the corporate stuff, talked with his family about their worries, and started networking early.
And get this, Prem's career after the military, it wasn't a straight line, 3 different careers actually. Started in admin and HR, then operations, and finally found his thing, his passion in coaching. And now he's killing it. Author, coach, mentor, the whole deal.
It just goes to show you can always reinvent yourself. Prem's big on transferable skills, but he's also the first to say, look, you got to keep learning new stuff specific to your field. He's even open about the mistakes he made, early on, not realizing how much you got to constantly learn and adapt.
Right on. Now, how about Lieutenant Colonel Iqbal Singh? Iqbal, his family, deep military roots, so service was in his blood. Challenging environments, that's what his career was. But his transition, he hit a unique snag, the fallout from, remember the Satyam scam?
Oh, yeah, that was rough. Hit the Indian corporate world hard and definitely made things tougher for Iqbal when he was job hunting. But what really impressed me, his drive to learn new tech. Picture this. He's in classes with fresh engineering grads, getting up to speed on telecom. Dedicated, right?
Totally paid off, too. Got a sweet gig at Google. Proves that even if your background isn't typical, you learn the right tech skills, doors open in that industry. Especially relevant for you, I'd say, with you looking into those tech roles.
Totally. Iqbal's a great example. Tech moves so fast, you got to keep learning or you get left behind.
Truth. All right, let's switch gears. Captain John Shandy, his story's a little different. He actually left the service early, chasing those entrepreneurial dreams. The thing is, no business experience came from a family with 0 entrepreneurs, nada. Talk about a leap of faith.
John, he's all about adapting, trying new things. He did a bit of everything. Garments, real estate, shows you how many paths there are in the business world. And then, bam, serious accident, had to close his export business. But he didn't quit. He pivoted, first real estate, then interior design, then promoting education in Ireland. Talk about resilience.
Powerful stuff, right?
Yeah.
Setbacks happen. It's how you bounce back that matters.
For sure. Experimenting, adapting, that's what makes a good entrepreneur, no matter the industry. You know, John's story, it makes me think of another entrepreneur in this issue, Colonel Anand Bhargava. 23 years in the military, and then, just like John, decides to jump into the business world.
Ah, yes. And his story really stuck with me. It's all about unlearning, especially that I got to do it all myself mindset, so common in the military.
Yeah, it's understandable though, right? In the military, it's all about taking charge, quick decisions, get it done. But in the corporate world, it's more like work together, delegate, big adjustment for some vets.
And actually use those psychometric tests,
Mhm.
to figure out where he could improve. More people should do that, not just veterans. Helps you really see your strengths and weaknesses. You can grow as a leader that way.
He really embraced it too, going from that doer to someone who empowers others. Valuable lesson for anyone in a leadership position, really.
Absolutely. Okay, on to Lieutenant Colonel Noel Ellis. This one, he decided to transition after, well, a really tough deployment. The kind that makes you realize, wow, this life, there are sacrifices.
Yeah.
And his job search, let me tell you, wasn't easy. Financial hurdles, pension delays, the cost of upskilling at IM Ahmedabad, the whole shebang.
Noel's story really shows the money side of transitioning. It's not always smooth, and those unexpected costs, man, they add up.
Oh, yeah. And get this, even had a bit of culture shock when he landed a security and admin role. Dealing with corruption, office politics, totally different from the military, right?
It makes you think, how do we bridge that gap between the military world and the corporate world? Veterans have to adapt, sure, but employers, they got to be understanding too. The experiences vets bring, their perspective, it's valuable.
So true. But here's the good part. Noel built this awesome team, all retired JCOs and NCOs. Shows the power of those veteran networks and the skills they bring.
You got that right. Veterans, they've got each other's backs, and those connections, man, they're worth their weight in gold during and after the transition.
Last but not least, Brigadier Krishna Raj. His story starts with, well, uncertainty. Trying to figure out his path, education, real estate, even starting a business. It's like, hey, it's okay not to have it all figured out right away.
Oh yeah, Krishna tried a lot of things. PhD, an agribusiness venture, talk about ambitious. But he realized some industries, they're just not easy to break into for vets without, well, deep pockets.
Yeah.
He ended up as VP at a major port, and those military skills, security, admin, crisis management, perfect fit.
He really stepped up during those two cyclones, showed that courage, that leadership, what veterans are known for.
Krishna, his story, it's all about being open to new things, new challenges. His career wasn't a straight line at all, but he kept learning, evolving, led him to success.
All right, let's move on to the member speak section. This is always so interesting. It's like you're hearing directly from other veterans. ForceNet E Zine did this survey, asked vets to share their transition stories, the good, the bad, what they learned, advice, all of it.
And the responses, they're all over the place, which is great. Self-awareness, career choices, upskilling, networking, it's all there.
You get these glimpses into their lives, the struggles, the wins, the unexpected stuff. One vet talked about this crazy thing trying to get a new SIM card after being a victim of cybercrime. The bureaucracy, unbelievable.
It makes you realize even simple things can be a pain in the civilian world.
And then you've got this other veteran, started a mountaineering company, followed his passion for the outdoors, turned it into a business. And another one talked about working in Kuwait and Poon, all the global opportunities and the adjustments that come with them.
These little snippets, they're so valuable. Real insights from real veterans, figuring out this civilian life.
Before we go any further, let's talk about some other cool stuff in this issue. The book review, I Am a Soldier's Wife, The Life and Love of Tony Litter. That one caught my eye.
It's a good reminder, the impact of military service, it's not just on the individual.
Yeah.
The book, it dives into the world of spouses, their sacrifices, the support they give.
And the reviewer, he actually knew Brigadier Lackbinder Singh Litter personally. So it adds this emotional depth. Remember, these are real people, real families with their joys and their sorrows.
Yeah, the reviewer pointed out how the book really captures what a military marriage is like. Always moving, always adjusting. You need strength to handle all that.
The author, Geetika Litter, she's inspiring too. Balanced her own career with being a military wife, created a stable life for her family.
Resilience, adaptability, that's what it takes. Essential for anyone connected to the military, really.
And the reviewer, he really emphasized this one point. Be prepared for the unexpected, especially when it comes to money. What Geetika went through after her husband's passing, it really underscores that. Open communication, financial literacy, so important for military families.
Life throws curveballs, no doubt. Being financially prepared makes a huge difference.
Okay, let's lighten things up a bit. The Guess the Souvenir article, this one was fun. I was stumped trying to figure out what that mystery object was.
I loved how Lieutenant Colonel Ellis took us back, remembering those old military boxes filled with all sorts of stuff, reminded me of my own time in service, those little things that mean so much.
And the way he built the suspense. Little hints about the object, really well done. Did you guess it?
Nope, not a chance. It was the wire from a Militka missile. Blew me away, and he kept it all these years, used it for kites, fishing, and now it's a cherished souvenir. Shows you how much those things from our past can mean.
Exactly. Even ordinary things can hold so much meaning, bring back those memories.
Now, something I think is really relevant for you, especially now with you transitioning, it's about finding your purpose. That article, How to Find Your Soul Purpose, it tackles that big question head on.
I was a bit skeptical at first. Soul purpose, it sounds kind of, out there. But the way the author approaches it, it's actually really practical. He gets that life's a journey, always changing. And what feels right now might change as we grow.
Yeah, it's not about finding this one perfect path, but more like embracing that self-discovery, letting your purpose unfold naturally.
What I liked, he's all about action. Doesn't matter how much you think about it, talk to experts. It's what you do, your actions, that leads you to your purpose.
He used this cool analogy, comparing what we do to those demigods in mythology, It's about taking responsibility for our choices, how they shape our lives.
Even connected it to astrology, the idea of karma, how our actions create our destiny.
Interesting way to bring those ancient ideas into modern self-development.
And the best part, he gives you actual methods to find your purpose, depending on what you're into, your spirituality, all that.
If you're comfortable looking inward, working with energy, he suggests things like Reiki, pranic healing, chakras, auras.
And if you're more structured, he's got astrology, numerology, tarot, even meditation, breathwork, journaling, all for self-awareness and connecting with your intuition.
Finding a teacher you connect with, I thought that was a really good point. Someone who aligns with your values, how you learn, instead of just following some guru or social media influencer.
Yeah, it's a personal journey, right?
Yeah.
The best guide is someone who understands your unique path.
And in the end, it doesn't matter which method you choose. It's about being curious, willing to try new things. What feels right for you, that's what matters.
Okay, let's switch gears again. The Women Power feature. This one profiles Vandana Patiapali, an entrepreneur in the publishing world. Her story, it's inspiring, especially if you're thinking about starting a business.
What struck me about Vandana, she juggles it all. Mother, wife, businesswoman. And she's passionate about books, you can tell.
Started in education, pretty traditional, but she had that entrepreneurial spirit, eventually co-founded a publishing company. Then she launched her own thing, Highbrow Scribes Publications.
She's all about taking those opportunities, even if they seem scary at first. Took a leap of faith, trusted her gut, knew she could learn as she went.
Challenges, she had plenty. Talks about needing patience, resilience, especially in publishing, working with creative people, the market changing all the time.
Her advice to aspiring authors, spot on. Strong concept, right from the heart, and get involved in marketing your work.
She also talked about the human side of publishing. AI tools, they're helpful, but they can't replace a good editor, a good designer, that human touch,
Technology's great, but in the end, it's the human connection, the creativity that make stories come alive.
Now let's talk about Captain Ankur Mehta, the ForceNetpreneur interview. His career path, military, corporate, then bam, entrepreneur in the creator economy. Fascinating stuff.
Ankur, what impressed me was his dedication to this creator economy thing. He sees it as this big force, making it easier for people to create content, build their own businesses.
He even wrote a book about it, Pixels to Profits, published by Penguin, no less. He's an expert, for sure.
And he's not all talk, he's walking the walk. Successful edtech entrepreneur, then co-founded MetaCogX, doing consulting, events, building this whole industry body for the creator ecosystem.
What he knows about the creator economy, it's valuable, especially if you're thinking of going that route. Know your audience, create great content, use the right platforms to make money.
And he's got practical advice, going from corporate to entrepreneur. Change your mindset, think strategically, understand your business, and accept that your income might not be steady.
Build systems, processes, be confident, focus on creating value, not just checking off tasks.
His advice, it comes from experience. The lessons he's learned makes it relatable, actionable.
And he gives credit to his military background, for shaping his entrepreneurial mindset. Discipline, resilience, adaptability, problem solving, making decisions under pressure.
It's like proof that those military skills, those experiences, they're gold in the business world.
Now let's talk about something a bit unsettling. The knowledge bites piece. My experience with cybercrime. The struggle for justice. It's a wake-up call, really, how vulnerable we are in this digital age.
Air Commodore Nirip Kumar Mehta, he shares his experience becoming a victim of cybercrime. Lost a lot of money, unauthorized UPI transactions, and trying to get justice. Roadblocks, delays, frustrating, doesn't even begin to describe it.
His story, it's detailed, eye-opening, shows the flaws in the systems that are supposed to protect us. Needing a new SIM card to report a lost or stolen phone? How does that even make sense? Just one example of the crazy stuff he went through.
And the telecom company, the bank, they just didn't seem to care. He couldn't even get them to take his complaint seriously. Shows we need better ways to deal with cybercrime to support the victims.
It's a reminder, even if you're good with tech, you can still be scammed. Be careful, protect your information, and fight for yourself if you're treated unfairly.
He didn't give up, though. That's what's important. Kept pushing, used social media, eventually got some results. Persistence pays off.
His story raises some big questions, How do we improve the system, protect people better? How do we make sure victims get the help they need? And how do we hold these institutions accountable?
Those are the questions we got to answer as a society. The digital world, it's part of our lives now, and we need to figure this stuff out.
You know what I love? Seeing veterans get creative. This issue's got this moment-in-time photography section, and it's awesome. These former service members capturing the world, landscapes, those little everyday things. It's great.
It really shows you, how much variety there is in the veteran community, all these interests, talents, and the photos themselves, they're beautiful. The way they see things, it's amazing.
And here's what I thought was really cool. They give you the technical details for each photo, the aperture, shutter speed, ISO, all that. Makes you appreciate the art of photography even more. Even in something creative, you're still learning.
Speaking of learning, pushing boundaries, there's this interview with Mr. Siddharth Chaturvedi, a young entrepreneur, son of an army officer. He's only 24, and he's already launched 2 successful businesses, both in the wedding and events industry.
Oh, that's impressive. What was it about his story that stood out to you?
I was really interested in how he's bringing a traditional industry into the modern world. His company, Spree, they use technology to manage vendors, make wedding planning more efficient, innovation, even in those established sectors.
And he's not just working with those high-end clients, right? He's also got this B2B SaaS platform, makes wedding planning easier and more accessible for everyone.
Exactly. And what he knows about the industry, it's valuable. Understand your customers, build those relationships with vendors, and stay on top of trends.
Sounds like his army upbringing helped him too. He talks about discipline, resilience, adaptability, all from his family's military background. Those are key for an entrepreneur, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Those values, the military instills them, and they're valuable no matter what you do.
So remember that article we talked about, how to find your soul purpose? Well, there's another piece in here, similar theme, slightly different angle.
This one by Major Tarun Pratap Singh, it's more practical. He's all about embracing the journey, finding those answers within yourself, introspection, but more importantly, action.
I like how he gives you a framework for understanding your purpose. Breaks it down into steps you can actually use in any part of your life.
And he's got all these techniques for self-awareness, connecting with your intuition, astrology, numerology, journaling, mindfulness. A lot to try.
His advice about finding a teacher or mentor, that really hit home for me. Someone who gets you, supports your journey without pushing their own ideas on you.
It's your own personal growth, right? Having the right support system is so important.
Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into this March issue of ForceNet E Zine, what are the big takeaways for our listeners?
I think the theme here is adaptability, resilience, and always keep learning. Those are what help veterans succeed in the corporate world no matter what path they choose.
And there's no one right way to do it. It's about finding a career that you're passionate about, that uses your skills, that lets you make a difference.
So, as you start your next chapter, I want to leave you with a question inspired by one of the articles. If you were to start a business today, what would it be? And what skills, what experiences from your background would help you make it a success?
That's a great question to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Hope you found it useful, inspiring. Let us know what you think. And if you have any ideas for future deep dives, we're all ears. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.